Good morning. So what I do is very simple and complicated. So my business card says sales manager, it also says loan officer, some paperwork says loan consultant. The National Registry has me as a mortgage license officer. So there's a lot of titles as far as what we do. Another card I have says certified mortgage planning specialist. So it's really going to vary. And the one thing I really want to talk about today is mortgage planning. Just because a lot of people go out there and get a loan. So who here owns a house? Okay. And who here has a 30-year fix? So majority of people go straight for the 30-year fix because it makes sense, or 15-year fix. So the first thing my team and I want to do is we want to figure out what really makes sense. It's like me being a doctor and going, hey, you know what, we should just cut that off. Let's always cut that off, which is the worst case scenario. But a lot of people have circumstances that they don't really plan for. So you have kids, you have college, you have retirement, you have job switching. You know, there's so many things that we don't really plan for. So the one thing we want to do is make sure we're putting into the correct mortgage. I tell my clients I don't want to do your loan more than once unless we plan on it. So I don't want you coming back to me in 10 years going, hey, you know what, we didn't plan for college, so we got to do a cash out refi because my kids go to school. That's the last thing we want to avoid. So we go, hey, you know what, let's plan ahead. So if you have college coming up in 10 years, let's start moving some money around, take a 7-year fix, take a 10-year fix, make your payments lower so we have more cash flow to move that money around. So it starts with very simple questions. How long do you plan on living in this house? If someone says, well, I want to be here 5 years, and I go, hey, take a 30-year fix, it's perfect. Rate's a lot higher, but you'll feel secure. Does that make any sense? No. But most people do that because they go, hey, here's your loan, that's what you should do. My advice is to make it uncomfortable for you and make you think about what you're doing. Because a lot of people go, hey, you know, I just want a loan. And a lot of loan officers go, hey, I just want to give you a loan. I get paid for giving you a loan. Reality is that there's no benefit to the client by doing that. So a lot of questions have to be asked to figure out what really benefits you the most. Second is, do you plan on paying additional principal payments? So if your payment's $2,000, you tell me you're going to pay $2,500. That's an extra $500 going to principal every month. So the train of thought would be, well, a 30-year fix is always going to cost more because the investor knows they're not going to get their money back anytime soon. They know you're going to hold on to it for a while. So they're going to charge you a little more for holding on to that money to a longer rate of return. A 7-year or 5-year fix, it's a much lower rate because they expect to get that money back soon because you'll refinance out of it. So they go, hey, I can give you a 30-year fix at 4.25 or a 7-year fix at 3.25. Now you already told me you're going to pay extra principal, so what makes the most sense? 7-year fix. You take a lower rate, you get more money toward principal, and you move that principal balance down, so you can go ahead and refinance in 7 years, or do other stuff. Investments, one thing I recommend, college, or just straight principal reduction. Hey, you want to retire in 10 years? Okay, so where do you need your balance to be for you to really have affordable payments? Well, what are you going to make when you retire? Okay, so your income's going to go down by $4,000 a month. So what would be comfortable? So let's plan for 10 years down the line by working on this right now. So when you retire, it's not a surprise that, hey, I can't afford my house, which happens a lot. So that's a few things we're trying to avoid. Next thing is, what are your top priorities? So there's a list of things people are really trying to do. People really want cash flow, people want to write off, people want to maximize retirement, people want to increase education savings. Education savings is a big deal right now. Let's say college costs about $250,000 per kid. Is probably a realistic number. So you should really expect to save about half of that. So if your kids, let's say your kids are 2 years old right now, you really have 16 years to save $250,000. That's a lot of money. But a lot of people go, that's a lot of money, I don't want to do it. Well, if we go, hey, let's actually increase your cash flow by reducing your mortgage payment by $300 a month, and we take that money and we invest with a financial advisor. Now that 300 is growing at a rate of, let's say, 6 to 8%. You're doing 300 every month, and by the time they're 18 years old, they give you 16 years to really build that money and work on the rest. It makes it possible, it makes it easy to do. So then, what's the most important thing about your financial future? Because a lot of people go, hey, well, I just want the lowest possible payment. Great, let me give you this loan. Then when you talk to them, they're like, well, no, you know, I really want this, I really want that. Everyone has a different reason why they want the property, and it's our job to figure out why it is. So some people just want the write-off. Like Frank said, you know, $1 million is a exclusion as far as home deductions. Now, the one thing people don't know is that your acquisition cost is up to $1 million. Anything above that is $100,000. So the IRS put some rules in place that people don't know about. So if I bought a house for $500,000, took a loan for $300,000, I could write the $300,000 off. My house went up to $1 million. I take $400,000 out, cash out $400,000. Now my loan is $700,000. How much can you write off?
4, 7.
4, 7. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know. And you ask anyone, they probably don't know. The amount that you could really write off is $400,000, because you could do your acquisition costs plus $100,000 extra money. So everyone goes, hey, I could write off $1 million. I could do that. What's my job to make sure that you know that? Because we're planning ahead for your future. Because the IRS says, hey, we have rules in place. Just because you don't know them, it's not our fault. So someone goes, okay, I'm going to buy a property cash because I'm a smart, savvy investor. I'm going to live in it, I'm going to fix it up, buy it cash, spend the money, do it myself. Well, there's a 90-day rule. So the IRS says if you don't take a loan in the first 90 days, that's considered taking money out of your property. So you can't write the full amount off, you can write $100,000 off. So a lot of people go through the process of doing all this stuff without really realizing what the true benefit to them is. So our biggest thing is really going to be service. Who should we contact? Buying a house is pretty stressful. So you want to know who to contact and who's going to be the person who's going to make the decision right away. Most of the time we deal with stuff up front, but if something happens, do we want to email the husband when the wife's the one checking the emails?